Hello and welcome to Odds
Mm.
on Serie A match day 12 after the international break. So many managers getting sacked, among them Ivan Juric, and we have Inter top of the table together with Roma, Leo, and we have Derby della Madonnina. What a weekend ahead of us.
Absolutely, Edu. Yes, I was missing Italian football. I was missing Serie A. Plenty of changes, as you said, in terms of the of managers. Some of them we were expecting them, like the Ivan Juric. Raffaele Palladino is the new manager of Atalanta. But Sunday night, San Siro, Inter Milan, the biggest game of this match day 12. Edu.
Indeed. Let's see what happens in this derby with the leadership on stake. Also, some rumors about
Yeah.
Antonio Conte. Even and we have Napoli, Atalanta. So let's pay attention to everything. We are gonna break down all the details in this area. Remember, guys, just press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And we start with Cagliari, Genoa, Leo, with Genoa. They are still in relegation after sacking Vieira, but the team had improved, drew with Fiorentina, beat Sassuolo in the last two games. Remember, Daniele De Rossi on the bench. Cagliari, 10 points, drew with Como, winless in 7. So it's difficult to back any of these teams to win.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. And for Genoa, it seems to be a bounce right after Patrick Vieira left the club. Now they do have Daniele De Rossi, as you mentioned. We talk about that as a real possibility in our last show before the international break. He's contracted until the end of the season. Of course, an option to extend his stay if he manages to keep the team in Serie A. His debut was against La Viola, and it was a good one. He introduced a change already in their system, now defending with three at the back. He did not want to dig deep into what he believes went wrong with Vieira this season, but he did mention the team needed to improve in defending set pieces, and you could see there was a little bit more focus in that area, and also in attacking set pieces, as Genoa scored the 1-0 against Fiorentina through that route with Leo Bachanian, the Norwegian centre-back, who now scored back-to-back goals. In attack, Lorenzo Colombo, the ex-Empoli striker, had a mixed afternoon because he scored his first goal for Genoa this season, but he missed the penalty, and he was also guilty of giving away a penalty for Fiorentina to equalize in the first half. Their only win this season for Genoa has come away from home, and that was against Sassuolo. Another win, this time in Sardinia, could take them out of the relegation zone, which could be a massive improvement for Genoa in a matter of just, 2-3 weeks. For Cagliari, match day 11, saw them taking a good point, I would say, at the lake with the 0-0 against Como. Again, Elia Caprile, the goalkeeper, MVP of the game. He is the best goalkeeper this season so far in Italy, and he got his first call for the Nazionale for this November international break. Jarrimina had also a very good game, especially marking Morata and driving him crazy. At home, Cagliari lost 3 in a row, conceding 6 and scoring 1. But my take here, Edu, is what the bookies are pointing, a draw, and the odds are good. My take here, a draw with odds of 3.
Okay, very busy the relegation spots right now. Genoa, Verona, and Fiorentina. Next game is Udinese, Bologna. Here, Bologna only 1 point less than Napoli, challenging now for the Champions League spot. It was a great win against Napoli, really well deserved. They were the better team. Only one defeat this season in Serie A in Milan. So with this pedigree, they go to Udine. It's not an easy stadium to go to, and actually good results at home overall for Udinese. Leo only lost to Milan here.
Yes, Edu, and at home they won 3 and drew 1 in the last 4 in all competitions for Udinese. So it's true they have a good form lately in front of their own fans, but this Bologna, if you're talking about being in form, that is Bologna. 8 matches without defeat in Serie A, 5 wins in that run, Edu. The last time they left stadium empty-handed. That was San Siro against Milan, and mid-September we are talking, so 2 months ago, against Napoli before the break, and I agree with you, superb performance. I like what 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀 said, that if a neutral one would go to Italy and have to choose a team to watch these days, that should be Bologna, because they are playing the best football in Italy at the moment. And Sacchi knows one or two things, not only for what he did as a manager, but he knows Vincenzo Italiano very well since the days Italiano was managing La Spezia. Arrigo Sacchi was actually the one who recommended to Sassuolo Vincenzo Italiano before Fiorentina got him. They dominated Napoli from start to finish. They gave away no space. They pressed relentlessly. They controlled possession of the ball. They did not give it away almost the entire game. There are not many teams that play in the Serie A like Bologna. You get to see overlapping runs on the wings. A team that is stretched probably no more than 30 meters. Vincenzo Italiano is creating a very compact side. Players rotate, they have a fluid system. The convenience they find now is related to injuries, I would say, because Jonathan Rowe is out 3 weeks. 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, their Polish goalkeeper, left the pitch against Napoli after only 5 minutes, and he will be out until next year. Against Napoli, they seen 𝗛𝗏𝗀 scoring his first goal of the season. There were no minutes for Santi Castro in attack this time, despite his good form. Without Rowe, we will see if Italiano plays 𝗛𝗏𝗀 and Castro together, or if Benjamin Dominguez, who is not featuring much this season, get his chance. And Udinese, yes, they're at the back of that defeat against Roma in the capital, in which they didn't have much to do. They played probably a good first half an hour, but from Roma's first goal onwards, they said goodbye to the game. As I mentioned, 3 wins and 1 draw in the last 4 at home for Udinese. Bologna, the favorite team in here, Edu. The odds on 𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴 are good, and I will take them. I back Bologna here. Bologna to win, odds of 2.1.
Then a tricky one, Fiorentina, Juventus. This is a very hot game. These are the biggest rivals for Fiorentina. They really hate Juventus, and last season was a 3-0 for La Viola. Now with Paolo Vanoli on the bench, replaced Pioli with his awful numbers. The team is still bottom of the table. The last result was a draw with Genoa, and they are winless. Remember, for Juventus, Leo, another team that, as we know, they changed the manager with Spalletti in charge. They are 6th. Yeah. And it was a disappointing draw in the derby. We backed them because the head-to-head is really favorable against Torino, but it was a really bad draw. And I would join also, or I would put together also with the one against Sporting Portugal in the Champions League.
Exactly, because that 0-0 with Torino was at the back of another draw against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League. The debut for Spalletti was with a win, but that was away against Cremonese, and there still, it seems, in a transitional period, they do, I would say, Juventus, but with the urgencies of their own as well. Against the Granata, it was a poor 0-0 for Juventus. They did have chances, of course, and actually both keepers were probably the best in the game. But we are not seeing yet a massive departure of what we had under Tudor in terms of performances. Openda hasn't scored a goal in 7 months. Jonathan David is 80 days already without one. João Mario has just 1 goal contribution this season. 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀 probably, at least now in his new role of left back, almost a left back, is doing better. It was enough lift for Juventus against Torino that Khéphren Thuram was fit to start, but now we know that 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗀 is injured after the international break. I mentioned before João Mario, and looked, he started just 3 games out of 15 since arriving, and it was a swap deal with Porto, which saw getting them Alberto Costa departing Juventus and arriving to Porto. Well, Costa in 15 games for Porto produced 7 assists, so not even that is working for Juventus, that swap deal. But well, if Juventus is without 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗀, Fiorentina will be probably without 𝗏𝐿𝐵𝐾𝐿, who left the Italy's camp in this international break. We're gonna see if Paolo Vanoli manages to change things, if he manages to resurrect this team after what happened with Stefano Pioli. 6 defeats and 4 draws in 10 games for him. Vanoli, as Daniele De Rossi with Genoa, he mentioned that the team was conceding too much on set pieces. And actually, the opening goal for Genoa against Fiorentina came through a set piece. There is a lot of work to do in that department, because from the 18 goals conceded so far from Fiorentina, 9 of them came through set pieces. There is European football as well for Fiorentina, Edu, after Matchday 12. But my view is that Vanoli should only focus on Serie A. No Fiorentina supporter will care about the Conference League. They want to see their team out of danger in Serie A. And Vanoli will be judged of what happened in the league and not what would happen on Thursdays. So La Viola lost 4 and drew 1 of their 5 home games so far. And Fiorentina needs to put winning games in front of anything else. It doesn't matter at this point, tactical system, style, identity, everything comes second. Start winning games. But yeah, this is a derby. As you mentioned, Fiorentina's supporters, they hate Juventus. So the managerial change, they need to save face in front of their own fans. I see it's going to be a tough encounter. I even want to look at probably the cards market as well, Edu. My take here, Edu, I don't expect many goals. Goals under 2.5, odds of 1.74.
Tough game, this one, for both clubs. Actually, the loser is going to be in trouble. Napoli-Atalanta is the next one. Also difficult here for the current champions, for Napoli, because the defeat against Bologna was an ugly man. 3 winless games, including the draws with Eintracht and with Como at home. So a bit of a crisis. I heard some rumors also about Antonio Conte, why not, and with De Bruyne, remember, outside of the squad. And now they are hosting, Leo, this new Atalanta with Palladino on the bench, replacing 𝗀𝗏𝗏 after this ugly, very ugly defeat at home against Sassuolo. Winless in 7 in Serie A, and another unhappy man in this team, I'm sure, is Ademola Lookman, out of the World Cup.
Yes, absolutely. Nigeria's 2nd consecutive World Cup without playing in it. And Ademola Lookman as well, we have to say it on TV. The defeat against Sassuolo for Atalanta, the 3-0 at home, was absolutely the nail in the coffin for 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏. I thought he was not even going to go to the press conference. He left the club. He left the club 13 in the table, winless in the last 7 league games. The first time that Atalanta have gone 7 without a win in Serie A since 2018. Atalanta never lost 3-0 at the New Balance Arena in Gasperini's time at the club. 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏's career in Bergamo lasted 15 games, of which 7 of them were draws and 6 of them consecutively before the defeat with Sassuolo. He lasted less than in Southampton, where he managed 16 games, but more than in Roma, when he was in charge for 12 matches last season. To start, I believe that Palladino, at least, is going to be a gentler presence in Atalanta's bench. He won't start picking up fights in the media with his players. 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a manager as well that poses probably emphasis in intensity, work ethic, and Palladino is someone more focused on creativity. Time will tell, but Palladino to me seems more fitted than 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 ever was to be the manager of Atalanta after Gasperini's era. The challenge, of course, is massive to start with Napoli, even if Napoli drop from top to 4th after the defeat in Bologna. Winless, as you mentioned, in the last 3 in all competitions. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, Edu, when we look at the career of Conte. It wouldn't come as a complete surprise if something happened to him, if he decides to leave, or if De Laurentiis said it's enough. You know, second seasons for Conte after he wins are always tough. And when he starts criticizing everything, and he starts to to talk in the open in the media that he doesn't like things, well, you know you're in trouble. The draw at home with Eintracht as well was costly because they are now 24th in the table. They can't be overconfident now against Atalanta, thinking about Karabakh few days after, because we know that Karabakh have surprised many teams so far in the Champions League. So far, actually, well, Chelsea in the last match day in the Champions League. So you cannot think of Conte rotating a lot. And also, he doesn't have a lot of players to rotate because he lost Kevin De Bruyne until February, and now they lost their best player of the season, Sam 𝗀𝗏𝗀. That is massive for them. Sam 𝗀𝗏𝗀, who scored 4 and assisted twice this season, he got injured with Cameroon. Napoli having a slump. Atalanta with a new manager who should provide the typical bouncing effect. In this context, Edu, my take is Atalanta double chance. Atalanta double chance 1.73.
Very risky game, actually, going for both sides. I wouldn't touch Napoli. Let's see if we see a bounce with the new manager. In Atalanta, both are playing Champions League. Remember, the following week for the relegation, we have Verona, Parma. Verona, one of these two teams, winless in Serie A. They drew with Lecce at home. They were competitive, at least in the last game against Inter, although they lost in the last minute. And Parma, Leo, they are not better in the last games. At least they are winless in 6, but they could be very happy with the draw against Milan. It looked like a lost game in the first half, but they came back.
Yes, and in terms of fighting spirit, coming back from a 0-2 against Milan, of course, is huge. They managed to stay in the game right before halftime with that wonder goal from Adrian 𝗵𝗏𝗀, and then was the defender 𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗀 equalizing. Of course, if they could be as dominant as they tried to be in the second half, if they could sustain the press like in the second half, and if by a byproduct of all that they can create chances in attack as in the second half, then Víctor Cuesta can believe his team can stay another season in Serie A. They are now just 1 point above the red zone. A point with Milan is amazing, yes, but this is the type of games they should try or look to win. Verona, for instance, recorded a draw at home with Juventus this season, and they are in the relegation zone. So Parma could create a 5 points gap with Verona if they win, if they take the 3 points. The away stats do not help much Parma, as they lost 3 and drew 2 this season on the road. We will see as well how Parma copes without Sion Suzuki, their very good goalkeeper, who got injured against Milan, undergone surgery last week, and he will be out for around 3-4 months. But if Parma's away numbers does not invite for hope, it is fair to say that Verona does not invite much more either. They are winless after 11 games. At home, they score 4 goals in 5 games. The 6 pointers for Verona at home this season, Edu: 0-0 with Cremonese, 1-0 defeat with Sassuolo, and 2-2 with Cagliari. Look, Edu, my take here is goals under again, but this time goals under 2. Goals under 2, 1.93. There have been 17 0-0 in 11 match days so far in Serie A this season. So that goals under 2 could easily come in this Verona Parma 1.93.
I was gonna tell you actually that this is a pattern that we are seeing in this Serie A, really low scoring games, a lot of goalless draws. So it's always a good idea going for the under. For sure, if Roma is playing, you should go for the under. Only 2 games, both teams to score in this Serie A. Now with Dybala injured, with Ferguson not working, but still, Leo, they should be very happy with Gasperini on the bench, joint leaders of Serie A now in mid-November after beating Udinese at home. Only 5 goals conceded in this Serie A. This is the key to success, and I would say even they were unlucky against Milan or Inter, games that they lost, and in my opinion, they should have gotten at least a point. So now they are favorites to go to Cremona after a great start for Cremonese. Leo, they lost to Pisa, to Juventus, and it's only 1 win in the last 9.
Yes, and that was a 6-pointer, Edu, before the break with Pisa. 2 defeats in the last match days for them, but they're still in a comfortable situation, better than anyone thought they will be at this stage. They won 1 game out of 5 at home, and that was match day 2 against Sassuolo, which was as well the only game they scored more than 1 goal at home too. And Roma, Edu, I keep dreaming. In 𝐵𝗵𝗄 we trust. Keep dreaming, Edu. In 𝐵𝗵𝗄 we trust. It was another good performance against Udinese in the 2-0 win. Probably for the first time I saw a Roma side that managed to put lots of bodies in the box each time they were in attack. It showed the players are gaining in confidence and implementing what is demanding of them, regardless of injuries as well, wiping Roma's attack, because you mentioned 𝗵𝗵𝗏, but Leon Bailey is injured as well, Ivan Ferguson. They lost 𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 as well after before halftime against Udinese, but it did not matter because Roma have found enough goals elsewhere without their strikers or forwards. Lorenzo Pellegrini continues with his turnaround. He took the penalty with 𝗵𝗏𝗏 out. He took the penalty against Udinese and made no mistake. Who knows? Maybe it's Pellegrini, the Roman born and bred, who might take Roma to the first title since 2001. And Pellegrini is not the only lost cause that Gasperini has helped resurrect. Mario Hermoso, I thought he didn't have a future in Roma. 𝐜𝐵𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜, who scored the second one against Udinese, was one often booed by the fans last season, or at least the first semester last season, and now he's playing every single game from start and doing very well. You mentioned defense, Edu, best defense in Europe's top 5 leagues. That is Roma. A clear indicator of genuine title contender, what they are doing defensively. So we know the form of Roma away, 4 wins out of 5. Their only defeat against Milan in a game they could have drawn because 𝗵𝗏𝗏 got injured in the shooting a penalty, the one that Maignan saved. So my take here, Edu, Roma to win, but Roma to win 2-0, 2.63.
And the other team in the capital, Lazio, playing at home against Lecce. They are even worse in both teams to score, Leo. Only 1 game, both teams to score. For Lazio, before the break, they lost to Inter. They didn't have a chance in that game, but at home they beat Cagliari, and they should win. Here they should beat Lecce, 3 points away from the relegation. Is one of these teams also with really low scoring numbers and games in general, Lecce.
Yes, Edu, and they've been improving a little bit lately. Of course, Lecce should not represent an impossible hurdle for Lazio. But losing 1-0 with Napoli in a game they missed a penalty with the match tied, then winning away in Firenze, and then an absolute boring game at home against Verona. Well, it's not too bad lately for Lecce. 10 points, 3 above the red zone. Their 2 wins this season have been actually on the road. They won 2 of the last 3 away from home, Lecce. And I was thinking, you know, that because in terms of crisis, we have focused, understandably, I would say, on Fiorentina, Atalanta, also Juventus at some point with their own change of manager. It seems that like we don't pay much attention what's going on in Lazio. Yes, they lost with Inter before the break, and they never looked they could compete against Inter. They were already down after 3 minutes. After the game, most of Sarri's talk was about the refereeing situation in Italy, how poor are on his views that Serie A should bring referees from abroad. Then Lazio later published a statement distancing themselves from Sarri's words. Actually, they directly contradicted Sarri, saying that the referee's work did not in any way influence the game, and that was a public statement from Lazio. But after we were done with that controversy, we had another one, this time with Nicolo Rovella, who apparently was forced to undergo surgery to recover from injury. His last time on the pitch was against Roma, and that was 2 months ago. He was a key player for Verona last season, and it was potentially an ideal player as well for Sarri. It's becoming a difficult season for Sarri, for Lazio. Tati Castellanos and Matteo Cancellieri are other two important players out injured. There is a talk of Lazio landing Lorenzo Insigne. He played, of course, yes, under for Sarri in Napoli. He's without a club since July. But even on a free transfer, Lazio still needs to resolve their transfer embargo because of their financial difficulties. So, Edu, I can't trust here straight away Lazio, even though, yes, at home they defeated Cagliari without much problems lately. I wouldn't go all the way probably with Lecce, but at least a first half. So my take, Lecce first half double chance, 1.65.
And probably an under for this game
as well.
We
Yes.
shouldn't see many goals. And now Derby de la Madonnina, Leo, Inter, Milan. No wins for Inter in the last 5 derbies. Last season was all for Milan, and actually the last game was 3-0 for the Rossoneri. In Coppa Italia, now of course the Nerazzurri are the favorites. Good performance beating Lazio. They are leaders, as we were saying before. 4 consecutive wins in all competitions. Still not brilliant. I think also they play in second gear some games, like against Kairat Almaty. And for Milan, they missed a great chance in Parma to stay on top of the table. It's 4 draws in the last 6 games, again, minor teams, I would say, Leo, like Pisa, Atalanta, the Atalanta of Juric, or Parma. But in the big stages also, they are responding. So to be honest, I have no clue. It's so difficult to read this the Milan derby.
Yes, absolutely. But to be honest, I don't know, I had the feeling that it's one of the most awaited derbies in the last few years. No, because we have Inter on top, but Milan just 2 points behind. The chance to go and pass Inter if they win. Yes, of course, the Milan did not do any favors to themselves, letting that 2-0 slip through their hands at the end of Tardini. During the break, they played a friendly against Serie B side, Virtus Stella, and also finished in defeat. But at least it was a chance to see Christian Pulisic again, trying to get football fit after injury. He played 20 minutes against Parma. He came on with the game already to 2 and couldn't have an impact. I can't see him starting, but Allegri for sure does not want to rush him and losing him again. Milan have missed him big time. Also, to have Adrien Rabiot out has been huge for Allegri, because the French adapted so quick and was enjoying having to share the pitch, the midfield park with Modric. Rabiot brings a lot of solidity in midfield for Allegri. With Pulisic and Rabiot together playing, Milan collected strong results like wins over Bologna, Napoli, and Udinese, as well as that draw in Turin against Juventus. Without Rabiot and Pulisic, we are seeing this Milan that still avoiding defeat, yes, but registering draws with Pisa, Atalanta, and Parma. One that was injured and returned before the break was 𝗀𝗻𝗀 Stupinian, but it wasn't the best comeback for the Ecuadorian. He made a mistake for Parma's equalizer, and then even Allegri criticized him in the press conference. On the other win, Saelemaekers was the opposite also in his performance, because he scored and it was a constant threat on the right. Will be interesting for sure on Sunday, his battle against Di Marco on that side. Inter did not have troubles with Lazio, as I mentioned before. She was rotation in attack continue, with Boni being the one who was next to Lautaro. They both scored. They both have 4 goals this season in Serie A. We will see who he chooses to start with Lautaro for Sunday. Now with Thuram back, and with Pio Esposito as well, who scored against Italy, against Norway for Italy. The bad news during the break was Çalhanoğlu getting injured. I expect this to be an open derby. 5 of the last 7 derbies have been goals over 2.5 at least. That's why my take, I know I'm usually a little bit more conservative, but I'm going all open in this Derby de la Madonnina, Edu. My take here, And remember, 5 of the last 7 derbies have been goals over 2.5 at least. Both teams to score yes combined with goals over 2.5, odds of 3.68. A big one for a big match.
Again, yeah, great game. This one, open, I think, is one of the most expected ones because also the Rossoneri have some chances in their mind to win the Scudetto. Very open one. I didn't want to mention the Italian national team in our show just to not make our Italian friends sad. Leo, and for Monday we have 2 games. Torino, 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻 is not a bad idea betting on goalless draw for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻. 3 goalless draws in the last 4 games against Cagliari, against Napoli, for instance, the last 2. And also Torino grab a draw in the derby, so it's 3 consecutive draws for Torino. So I guess we should look also at the draw market here, or at least not a goal feast, that's for sure.
Yes, a draw or the goals market under, and to be honest, that's where I'm going. 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻, yes, undefeated anyway in the last 9 Serie A games. The last, and actually not just last, but only defeat was with Bologna at the end of August. And they could, or they should be enjoying an even better position if they could have traded some draws for wins in games where they were the best team or created enough to win, like against Parma and Cagliari at home before the break. At least the stop in Serie A, I think, came at the right time for players like Alvaro Morata. He earned and missed a penalty against Napoli, remember, and with Cagliari, he asked to be subbed off, and not because he was injured. He was just annoyed with his performance and was more annoyed with Yerry Mina, the Colombian center-back. It is not something very usual to see a number 9 asking to get subbed because he cannot tolerate how the game is going in terms of his performance. He was visibly frustrated. He missed 3 big chances. And he was as well frustrated because of Mina aggressive man marking, and because Mina was provocating Morata all game, off the ball provocations all game from the Colombian, and Morata had a yellow already, so I think in his mind was better they take me out before I get a red card. Anyway, there is trust from the club in him. When you see that he arrived on loan, he still haven't scored for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻 in Serie A, but he arrived on loan with an obligation to buy, so you believe the club trusts him when they accept those kind of terms. And Torino, to have avoided defeat in the derby was good. They played a good second half, I would say, with Michele Di Gregorio having to save Juventus a few times. They are 6 without defeat, although they have drawn their last 3 in a row, as you said. At home, they won 2 of the last 3, Torino. Last season, they won 1-0 against 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻. I don't see a goal feast here. Another game in Serie A without being a goal feast. Only Roma, with 5, has conceded less than 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻's 6, might take goals under 2.5, odds of 1.67.
And for sure, the train of the World Cup is departing, and Morata is not in there.
Behind, yeah.
It's going to be very hard. And the last game is Sassuolo Pisa, 2 newly promoted teams, both outside the relegation spots. Sassuolo actually looking at Europe with Domenico Berardi and Pinamonti leading this team. Both were great in the win against Bergamo, participated in all 3 goals, and Pisa, Leo, was a key win against Cremonese, first win at home, first goal score even at home after 4 draws. So happy days also for Gilardino.
Yeah, absolutely, Edu. Happy days should be for Pisa. They're improving as well lately, not just because of the win against Cremonese before the break, but before that it was that 2-2 away against Torino in a game they were winning 2-0, and they couldn't control it, and they dropped 2 points. They have drawn anyway a lot of games as well. Only Atalanta with 7 have more draws than Pisa with 6, which is the same for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻 and for Verona. They have scored 8 times only, but 5 of them in the last 4 matches. So again, there is an improvement there. They have been creating more. They have been a little bit more aggressive. Pisa and Sassuolo, again, Domenico Berardi, the captain, the legend, scoring a brace. Pinamonti also putting his name on the score sheet for that 3-0 away against Atalanta. Both Domenico Berardi and Pinamonti, they have 4 goals this season, and they're second in the 𝐋𝐞𝐭'𝐬 table behind Çalhanoğlu and Orsolini, who both have 5 goals this season in Serie A. Look, a draw is certainly on the cards here at 340, but I'm taking the individual market route here. Domenico Berardi to score or to assist anytime, 1.80.
Doing a great season. He was not a Serie B player,
No.
that's for sure. Well, Leo, this is it. Great match day after the international break. Remember, guys, that you can post your tips in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions. We are giving away some money, and also you can use Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competitions. Leo, let's finish with your safe bet.
My safe bet, Edu, Fiorentina Juventus goals over 1.5, odds of 1.35.
And your ACCA?
Includes the safe bet with Roma to win, Inter Milan goals over 2.5. These 3 together, odds of 4.25.
All right, Leo Bachanian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.